The black town car glided through the city streets like a shadow returning home. Emily's heart pressed her palm against the cool window, watching familiar buildings blur past. 5 years had carved away the softness in her face, replacing it with sharp cheekbones and eyes that held storms. "You don't have to do this," the man beside her said. His voice was smoke and whiskey, refined by old money and older wounds. She turned to look at Alexander Kane, her husband. The words still felt strange on her tongue, sharp as broken glass. He wore a charcoal suit that cost more than her old apartment, his dark hair touched with silver at the temples. Handsome in a way that made people nervous? Yes, I do. The car stopped in front of the Hart estate, the mansion where she'd grown up, feeling like a guest in her own home. Through the iron gates, she could see movement. A party. Of course there was a party. Her mother never missed an opportunity to display her perfect life. Alexander's hand found hers. His touch was steady, calculated. Everything about him was calculated. "Remember the plan?" he said softly. She pulled her hand away. "I don't need reminding." The driver opened her door. Emily stepped out, her red dress catching the evening light like a flame. The silk clung to her body with deliberate confidence. Her heels clicked against the stone path. Each step, a declaration. She didn't knock. The door swung open under her palm, and she walked into the foyer, where crystal chandeliers threw dancing shadows across marble floors. The hum of conversation died in waves as heads turned. There, near the grand staircase, stood Rebecca. Her sister had aged too, but softly. Marriage and motherhood had rounded her edges, made her look content. She wore their grandmother's pearls. Those pearls? Rebecca's champagne glass slipped from her fingers. It shattered against the floor in a spray of crystal and gold liquid. Emily. Her voice cracked on the name. "Hello, Rebecca." Emily smiled, and it felt like drawing a blade. "Surprised to see me?" Their mother emerged from the crowd, her face frozen in that practiced expression of polite horror. "Emily, what are you doing here?" "I was invited." She held up the cream envelope, her mother's own handwriting, scrolling across it. "Though I suspect you didn't expect me to actually come." Alexander appeared at her side, his presence filling the space like a storm front. Heads turned toward him, recognition sparking in certain eyes. He was known, feared even. "This is my husband," Emily said, watching her sister's face drain of color. Alexander Kane. The name rippled through the room like a stone. Thrown in still water, Kane. The billionaire who'd built an empire from rubble. The man newspapers called ruthless, untouchable. Rebecca's husband Daniel pushed through the crowd. He looked older too, worn at the edges. His eyes found Emily's, and something flickered there. Regret? Maybe? Or just fear? "Emily, I didn't think," he started. She cut him off. Her voice was silk over steel. "Think, I mean." Alexander's hand settled on the small of her back, possessive and warm. "Shall we go in, darling? I'd love to hear all about your family." The way he said family made it sound like a threat. Emily walked deeper into the house, and the crowd parted before her like water. She could feel their stares, their whispered questions. The girl who ran away barefoot in the rain, the daughter who disappeared. She stopped in front of Rebecca, close enough to see the mascara smudged beneath her sister's eyes. "That's a lovely dress," Emily said softly. "But you always did have good taste." Her gaze dropped to the pearls. In jewelry especially, Rebecca's hand flew to her throat, fingers closing around the pearls protectively. "We need to talk," Rebecca whispered. "Alone." Emily tilted her head, considering. Then she smiled again, that same dangerous smile. "Why?" "We never needed to talk before you stole my life." The words hung in the air like smoke. Alexander's phone buzzed. He glanced at it, and his expression shifted, something dark crossing his features. He leaned close to Emily's ear. "We have a problem." Her blood went cold. "What kind of problem?" "The kind that means your sister isn't the only one with secrets?" Emily turned to face him fully, searching his eyes. What she saw there made her stomach drop. Before she could speak, the lights went out. All of them at once. The mansion plunged into darkness. A woman screamed. Glass shattered somewhere in the dark, and Emily heard Rebecca's voice, thick with terror cutting through the chaos. "Someone help me. He's not breathing." The lights flickered back on in stuttering waves, revealing chaos. Guests clustered near the walls, faces pale with shock. In the center of the room, Daniel lay crumpled on the marble floor. Rebecca knelt beside him, her dress pooling around her like spilled ink, her hands shaking as they hovered over his chest. Emily's body moved before her mind caught up. Years of distance collapsed in a heartbeat. She was across the room, dropping to her knees beside the man who'd once promised her forever. "Move," she said to Rebecca. Her sister looked up, eyes wild with panic. "I don't know what happened. He just collapsed." Emily pressed 2 fingers to Daniel's throat. His pulse was there, faint and irregular. His lips had a grayish tint that made her stomach clench. "Call an ambulance," she snapped at the crowd. No one moved. Now. Alexander was already on his phone, his voice clipped and commanding. Behind him, their mother stood frozen, one hand pressed to her mouth. Emily tilted Daniel's head back, checking his airway. Her hands remembered the CPR training from a lifetime ago, muscle memory overriding the years of anger. "Emily, please," Rebecca's voice broke. "Please save him." The words were a knife between ribs. Please save him. The man Rebecca had stolen, the father of her child. The life Emily was supposed to have. She met her sister's eyes, saw the raw terror there, the same terror she'd felt 5 years ago when her world shattered. "I'm not doing this for you," Emily said quietly, then pressed her hands to Daniel's chest and began compressions. 1, 2, 3. The rhythm steady, mechanical. She counted under her breath, blocking out everything else. Rebecca's sobs, the whispers. Alexander's dark gaze watching her with an expression she couldn't read. 30 compressions. "Breathe for him." Again. Daniel's chest rose and fell under her hands. She felt his ribs flex, felt the fragility of the body that once held her close. "Come on," she whispered. "Don't you dare die in my mother's foyer." On the 5th cycle, Daniel gasped. His eyes flew open, unfocused and afraid. He coughed, body curling inward, and Rebecca grabbed his hand with both of hers. "Daniel. Oh God, Daniel." Sirens wailed in the distance, growing louder. Emily sat back on her heels, her hands sticky with sweat, her heart hammering against her ribs. Alexander appeared beside her, offering his hand. She took it and let him pull her to her feet. Her dress was rumpled, her carefully constructed armor cracked. "That was quite a performance," he murmured. She looked at him sharply. "That wasn't a performance, wasn't it?" The paramedics burst through the door, equipment in hand. They swarmed Daniel, checking vitals, asking rapid questions. Rebecca clung to his side, refusing to let go until they loaded him onto a stretcher. As they wheeled him toward the door, Daniel's eyes found Emily's. He mouthed something. 2 words she couldn't quite catch. "Thank you, maybe. Or I'm sorry." She turned away. The guests were filing out now, the party dissolving like sugar in rain. Emily's mother approached, her face a careful mask. "That was very brave of you," she said stiffly. "No, it wasn't." Emily's voice was flat. It was basic human decency. "You should try it sometime." Her mother's jaw tightened. "After everything, you still came back to hurt us." "Hurt you?" Emily laughed, the sound bitter. "Mother, I came back to show you I survived. Hurting you would require you to actually care." She felt Alexander's hand on her shoulder, a silent warning. But the anger was rising now, hot and unstoppable. "You sat there 5 years ago and watched Rebecca destroy my life," Emily continued. "You told me not to make a scene. Well, I'm done being quiet, Emily. That's enough." "No." She stepped closer to her mother. "It's not nearly enough. You chose her. You always chose her. And I let that break me. But I'm not broken anymore." Her mother's eyes glistened, but no tears fell. "You don't understand? Then explain it to me." The words hung between them, a challenge and a plea. For a moment, Emily thought her mother might actually answer, might finally tell her why Rebecca's happiness always mattered more. Instead, Her mother straightened her pearls and looked away. Rebecca needs me at the hospital. She walked past Emily. Without another word, heels clicking against marble. The sound of a door closing. Always closing, Emily stood in the empty foyer, surrounded by abandoned champagne glasses and the ghost of her old life. She felt hollow. Saving Daniel should have felt like something, victory or closure or revenge, but it just felt like ashes. "We should go," Alexander said softly. She nodded, too tired to argue. They were halfway to the car when her phone rang. Unknown number. She almost didn't answer. "Hello?" Emily Hart. A woman's voice, professional and cold. "This is Detective Sarah Chen with the city police. We need you to come to the station immediately." Emily's blood went cold. "Why?" "It concerns your husband, Alexander Kane. There's been an accusation." She looked at Alexander. He was watching her, his expression unreadable. What kind of accusation?" she asked slowly. "One that involves tonight's incident. We have reason to believe Daniel Brooks' collapse wasn't natural." The detective paused. "We think he was poisoned. And Mrs. Kane, your husband, had both motive and opportunity." The phone slipped from Emily's hand, clattering on the pavement. Alexander didn't move, didn't deny it. He just looked at her with those storm-dark eyes and said, very quietly, "I told you everyone has secrets, darling. Even me." The police station fluorescent lights buzzed like trapped insects. Emily sat in a hard plastic chair, watching Alexander through the one-way glass. He looked calm, almost bored, as Detective Chen questioned him. His lawyer sat beside him, a sharp woman in a sharper suit. Emily's hands trembled in her lap. She pressed them together until her knuckles went white. "Mrs. Kane." A younger detective appeared beside her, holding a styrofoam cup of coffee. "You should drink something." She didn't take it. "Did he do it?" The detective's face remained neutral. "We're investigating, that's not an answer. It's the only one I can give right now." Through the glass, Alexander glanced up as if he could feel her watching. Their eyes met, and something passed between them. Recognition, understanding, the acknowledgement of two people who'd built a life on carefully constructed lies. The door to the interrogation room opened. Alexander stood, adjusting his cuffs, and walked out with his lawyer. No handcuffs, no charges. Just that same unsettling calm. He found Emily in the hallway. She backed away instinctively. "Don't," she said. "Don't." "What?" "Don't explain? Don't tell you the truth?" He stepped closer, and she hated how her body still responded to his presence. "You wanted revenge, Emily? I gave it to you. I never asked you to poison anyone. You didn't have to ask." His voice dropped, intimate and dangerous. "I saw what they did to you, how they broke you. Did you really think I married you out of love?" The words hit like a physical blow. Emily felt the air leave her lungs. "Then why?" she whispered. Alexander's jaw tightened. "Because I understand what it's like to be destroyed by the people who should protect you. Because when I found you in that coastal town, barely surviving, I saw myself 5 years earlier. And because your sister's husband owed me money, a lot of money. Money he stole from an investment I made through his firm." Emily's mind reeled. "You used me. We used each other." He reached for her, but she jerked away. "You wanted to walk back into your family's life as someone they couldn't ignore. I gave you my name, my wealth, my power. And in return, I got access to the man who ruined me. So this was all about money? Money, revenge, justice. Call it whatever helps you sleep." His eyes hardened. "Daniel Brooks destroyed my company 5 years ago. He took everything I built and covered his tracks. I've been hunting him ever since." Emily's thoughts spun. The timeline. The coincidence of Alexander finding her in that small coastal town. The whirlwind courtship that felt too good to be true. "You knew who I was from the beginning," she said slowly. "You knew about Rebecca. About what happened at my birthday? Yes, and you still married me. Brought me here. Made me face them." Her voice rose. "You orchestrated all of this. I gave you what you wanted. Alexander's control finally cracked. You wanted them to see you powerful, successful, untouchable. I made that happen. Don't pretend you didn't enjoy watching Rebecca's face when you walked in tonight. Emily slapped him. The sound echoed in the empty hallway. Alexander touched his cheek, a dark smile curving his lips. There she is. The woman I married. Not the broken girl I found, but the one who survived. I hate you. No, you don't. You hate that I'm right. Emily's phone buzzed. Rebecca's name flashed on the screen. She stared at it, torn between answering and throwing the phone against the wall. She answered, Emily. Rebecca's voice was raw from crying. They're saying Daniel was poisoned. They're saying your husband did it? I know. Did he? Emily looked at Alexander. He watched her with those calculating eyes, waiting to see what she'd do. Waiting to see if she'd protect him or condemn him. I don't know, Emily said finally. Please, Emily, I know you have every reason to hate me. But whatever happened between us, Daniel doesn't deserve to die. Their daughter doesn't deserve to lose her father. Daughter. The word twisted in Emily's chest. Rebecca and Daniel had a daughter. A 4-year-old girl with Daniel's eyes and Rebecca's smile. Emily had seen photos, each one a reminder of the life they'd stolen. Where are you? Emily asked. The hospital. He's stable, but they don't know if there will be lasting damage. Rebecca's breath hitched. Emily, I'm sorry. For everything. I know sorry doesn't fix it, but I need you to hear it. I was cruel and selfish, and I hurt you in ways I can't take back. Why? The question Emily had carried for 5 years finally escaped. Why did you do it? Silence. Then, softly, because I was afraid. Of what? Of being invisible. Of being the daughter who did everything right and still didn't matter. Rebecca's voice broke. Mother always said you were special, creative, free. I was just the obedient one, the boring one. And when Daniel looked at you the way he did, like you were the only person in the room, I wanted that. I wanted to be seen. Emily closed her eyes. So you took him. I took him, and I've regretted it every day since. Not because I don't love him, but because I destroyed my sister to prove I was worth loving. The confession hung between them, 5 years of pain compressed into a moment of raw truth. I need to know something, Emily said. Did Mother know? About you and Daniel before that night? Rebecca was quiet for so long Emily thought she'd hung up. Yes, Rebecca finally whispered. She knew for months. She told me to wait until after your birthday to tell you. Said it would be easier for everyone if it was public. If you couldn't make a scene, Emily felt something inside her shatter all over again. Not rage this time. Just grief. Pure and simple. I have to go, she said. Emily. Wait. Will you help him? Will you tell the police your husband didn't do this? Emily looked at Alexander. He raised an eyebrow, a silent question. I don't know yet, Emily said, and ended the call. She turned to Alexander. Did you poison him? No, I don't believe you. I don't need you to believe me. I need you to decide if you're going to stand beside me or betray me. He stepped closer, his voice dropping to a whisper. Because if I go down for this, Emily, I'm taking you with me. You think the police will believe you knew nothing? That you just happened to marry the man with a vendetta against your ex? Emily's throat tightened. You wouldn't. Try me. She stared at him, seeing clearly for the first time. Not the savior who'd rescued her. Not the husband who'd given her a new life. Just a man as broken and vengeful as she'd been. What do you want from me? She asked. I want you to go back to that hospital. I want you to talk to your sister, gain her trust. And I want you to find out what Daniel knows about the night he was poisoned. Alexander's smile was cold. Because someone tried to kill him tonight, Emily. And if it wasn't me, then we need to find out who. Before they try again? Emily's blood ran cold. Why would someone else want Daniel dead? That's what you're going to find out. Before Emily could respond, Detective Chen emerged from a nearby office. She looked exhausted and frustrated. You're both free to go, she said. For now, but don't leave town. As they walked toward the exit, Emily felt the weight of everything crushing down on her. 5 years ago, She'd run from her life. Now she was trapped in a new nightmare, one partly of her own making. Outside, the night air was cold and sharp. Alexander's car waited at the curb, engine running. "So," he said, "are you with me?" Emily thought of Rebecca's daughter, of Daniel lying in a hospital bed, of the poison that should have killed him, but think of all the ways revenge could consume you until there was nothing left. "I'm not doing this for you," she said finally. "I don't care why you do it, only that you do." Emily climbed into the car, her mind already spinning. She would go to the hospital. She would talk to Rebecca. She would find out the truth, but not for Alexander's revenge, for her own survival. Because somewhere in this twisted game, someone was playing them all, and Emily was done being anyone's pawn. The hospital hallway smelled of disinfectant and fear. Emily walked past rooms filled with the soft beeping of machines, each sound a reminder of how fragile life was, how quickly it could be taken. Rebecca sat in a chair outside Daniel's room, her head in her hands. She looked small, breakable. Nothing like the triumphant woman who'd announced her pregnancy 5 years ago. Rebecca. Her sister's head snapped up. Hope and fear warred in her expression. "You came, I came." Emily sat down beside her, maintaining careful distance. "How is he?" "Stable." They pumped his stomach, found traces of something in his system. "They're still running tests." Rebecca's voice shook. "Emily, someone tried to kill my husband." "I know. Is it Alexander?" Emily met her sister's eyes. "No." "How can you be sure?" "Because I know what revenge looks like. And this wasn't it." The words surprised Emily as she said them, but she realized they were true. Alexander was ruthless, but he was also precise. Poisoning Daniel at her family's party was too public, too messy. This was something else. Rebecca wiped her eyes. "Detective Chen thinks it might have been one of Daniel's clients, someone he crossed in business." "Daniel crossed a lot of people, including your husband." Emily didn't deny it. "Tell me about Daniel's work." "The investments he handled 5 years ago." Rebecca's face shuddered. "Why?" "Because someone wants him dead. And if we don't figure out who, they might try again." "Do you want your daughter to lose her father?" The words were cruel, but necessary. Rebecca flinched, then nodded slowly. "There was a deal that went bad. Right around the time Daniel and I got together, a tech company that was supposed to go public. The investor lost everything when it fell through." Rebecca's hands twisted in her lap. "Daniel said it was just bad luck, that no one could have predicted the collapse. But sometimes he'd get phone calls late at night. He'd go into his office and close the door. When he came out, he looked afraid." Rebecca met Emily's eyes. "I think he did something wrong. Something that's catching up to him now." As Emily's phone buzzed. "A text from Alexander. Did you find anything?" She ignored it. "Rebecca, I need you to tell me everything. Every detail about that deal, about the investor, about what Daniel might have done. Why are you helping me?" Rebecca's voice broke. "After what I did to you?" Emily was quiet for a long moment. "Because 5 years ago, I saved Daniel's life without thinking. And I realized something." She looked at her sister. "I'm not the same person who ran away barefoot in the rain. But I'm not the person who wants to watch people die either. Even people who hurt me." Rebecca's tears spilled over. "I don't deserve your help." "No, you don't. But your daughter deserves a father. So start talking." For the next hour, Rebecca told her everything. About the tech company called Neocore. About the investor who'd put in $10 million based on Daniel's recommendation. About how Daniel had inflated the company's value, falsified documents, and pocketed a percentage of the investment. "The investor's name was Marcus Kane," Rebecca said quietly. Emily's blood turned to ice. "Kane, he lost everything in the collapse. His company, his reputation, everything." Rebecca looked at her. "Emily, Marcus Kane was Alexander's father." The world tilted. Emily gripped the arms of her chair, her mind racing. Alexander's father. The man whose destruction had driven Alexander's revenge. "Rebecca, where is Marcus Kane now?" "I don't know. He disappeared after the collapse." Some people said he killed himself. Others said he just vanished. Rebecca grabbed Emily's hand. But Emily, if Alexander knew Daniel was responsible for his father's ruin, and if he married you to get close to Daniel, then he had motive to poison him tonight. Emily finished, but something didn't fit. Except the timeline doesn't work. Alexander knew about Daniel years ago. If he wanted revenge, why wait until tonight? Why marry me first? Maybe he needed you to get close to Daniel, to learn his routines, his vulnerabilities. Emily shook her head. Alexander is a lot of things, but he's not patient. If he wanted Daniel dead, Daniel would already be dead. She stood, pacing. Someone else did this. Someone who either wants Daniel dead or wants Alexander to take the fall for it. A doctor emerged from Daniel's room. Mrs. Brooks, your husband is asking for you. Rebecca stood quickly. Can my sister come in too? The doctor hesitated, then nodded. 5 minutes. Daniel looked pale against the white sheets, an IV drip running into his arm. His eyes found Emily's, and she saw the weight of years in them. Emily. His voice was rough. Rebecca told me what you did. Thank you. Don't thank me. I didn't do it for you. I know. He managed a weak smile. You did it because you're a better person than any of us deserved. Daniel, who poisoned you? Emily asked bluntly. His expression shifted. Fear flickered across his face. I don't know. Yes, you do. Emily, leave it alone. I can't. Because right now the police think my husband did this. And if they arrest him, my life falls apart. Again, she leaned closer. So tell me who wanted you dead. Daniel looked at Rebecca, then back to Emily. If I tell you, people could get hurt. People are already hurt. Emily's voice rose. You destroyed Alexander's father. You stole from him and covered it up. And now, someone tried to kill you? This doesn't end until we know why. Right. Daniel's jaw tightened. Then quietly, there were others involved in the Neocore deal. Partners who helped me falsify the documents. One of them wanted out. Wanted to go to the authorities. I told him no. That we'd all go down together if anyone talked. Who was it? Daniel closed his eyes. Your mother's financial advisor, James Whitmore. Emily felt the floor drop out from under her. My mother knew. She helped cover it up. The Hart family invested in Neocore too. If the fraud came to light, your family would have been ruined alongside mine. Daniel looked at her, and for the first time she saw real remorse. That's why your mother pushed Rebecca and me together. She needed to keep me close. Keep me quiet, Rebecca gasped. You're saying Mother orchestrated our relationship? I'm saying she saw an opportunity and took it. She knew you wanted what Emily had. She knew I was weak. She used both of us. The pieces fell into place with sickening clarity. Emily's mother hadn't just allowed the betrayal. She'd engineered it. Had sacrificed one daughter to protect her fortune. Where is James Whitmore now? Emily asked, her voice hollow. I don't know. He disappeared 2 weeks ago. Said he couldn't live with what we'd done anymore. Daniel's hand found Rebecca's. I think he's the one who poisoned me. And if I'm right, then you're all in danger too. Emily's phone rang. Alexander's name flashed on the screen. She answered, already knowing what he was going to say. Okay, Emily, get out of that hospital now. What's wrong? I just got word from my security team. They found James Whitmore's body in his apartment. He's been dead for 3 days. Which means whoever poisoned Daniel is still out there. His voice was urgent. And Emily, they left a message. It was addressed to you. Her hands went numb. What did it say? It said, the Hart family always pays its debts. All of them. Emily looked at Rebecca. Daniel. At the fragile life they'd built on lies. Alexander, it's my mother. She's cleaning up loose ends. That's why you need to get out. If she's willing to kill Daniel, she won't hesitate to silence anyone else who knows the truth, including her daughters. Emily ended the call. She turned to Rebecca, seeing the same realization dawning in her sister's eyes. We need to go, Emily said. Now, both of you, Emily, what's happening? Rebecca's voice shook. Mother isn't protecting the family's secrets anymore. She's erasing them. Emily grabbed her sister's arm. And we're on that list. The hospital room door swung open. Their mother stood in the doorway, elegant and composed as always. In her hand, held loosely at her side, was a small pistol. "Hello, daughters," she said softly. "I think it's time we had a family talk." Behind her, 2 security guards moved into position, blocking the exits. Emily's mind raced. She thought of Alexander's words, of the choice between betrayal and survival, of all the ways love could twist into something unrecognizable, and she realized with perfect clarity that saving her sister meant sacrificing herself. Mother Emily said, stepping in front of Rebecca. "If you're going to shoot someone, shoot me. Rebecca knows nothing. She's innocent in all of this." Her mother's smile was sad, almost tender. "My sweet Emily, you were always the noble one. But you're wrong about one thing." She raised the gun. "Neither of my daughters is innocent, and neither of you is leaving this room alive." Time slowed. Emily watched her mother's finger tighten on the trigger, watched the cold calculation in eyes that should have held love. She thought of the barefoot girl who'd run 5 years ago, broken and lost. Thought of the woman she'd become, hard and sharp and hungry for revenge. Neither of them deserved to die here. Emily lunged forward just as the gun fired. The sound was deafening in the small room. She felt the bullet tear through her shoulder, white-hot pain exploding through her body, but she'd closed the distance. Her hands found the gun, twisting it away as her mother gasped in surprise. The security guards rushed forward. One grabbed Emily, yanking her back. Her shoulder screamed. But she'd bought enough time. Alexander appeared in the doorway, flanked by his own security team. Behind them, Detective Chen and 3 uniformed officers pushed past. "Evelyn Hart," Chen said, her voice sharp. "Put down the weapon." Emily's mother looked around the room, seeing her options collapse. The gun clattered to the floor. "This isn't what it looks like," their mother said, but her voice held no conviction. "Really?" Chen stepped forward. "Because it looks like you just tried to murder your daughters?" "We have everything on the security cameras, Mrs. Hart. James Whitmore's confession was in his apartment. He documented everything before he died. The fraud. The cover-up. Your involvement?" She nodded to an officer. "Evelyn Hart, you're under arrest for attempted murder and conspiracy to commit fraud." As they cuffed her mother, Emily felt Rebecca's hands on her good shoulder. Her sister's face was pale, tears streaming down her cheeks. "You saved me," Rebecca whispered. "After everything I did, you saved me." Emily looked at her sister, saw the child who'd grown up competing for scraps of love, saw the woman who'd made terrible choices out of desperation, saw, finally, just another broken person trying to survive. "We're sisters," Emily said simply. "That still means something." Alexander was beside her now, his hands gentle as he examined her shoulder. "You're bleeding. We need to get you to a doctor." "I'm fine." "You're not fine." "You're never fine." But there was something in his voice. Something that might have been admiration. Or fear. "You could have run." "Should have run. I'm done running." Emily met his eyes. "And I'm done being used. By you. By her. By anyone." "So what happens now?" Alexander asked. "Now I decide who I want to be. Not the girl who was betrayed. Not the wife who was manipulated. Just Emily. On my own terms." Detective Chen approached them. "Mrs. Kane will need your statement. And we'll need to know everything about your husband's connection to Daniel Brooks and the Neocore fraud." Emily looked at Alexander. He stood very still, waiting to see if she'd protect him or destroy him. "My husband had nothing to do with tonight," Emily said carefully. "He married me. That's not a crime. Whatever business he had with Daniel Brooks ended when my mother poisoned him. It wasn't the whole truth, but it was enough to keep Alexander out of jail." For now, Chen nodded, not entirely satisfied, but unable to prove otherwise. "We'll be in touch." As the police led their mother away, Evelyn looked back at her daughters. No apology. No explanation. Just one final look that held all the love she'd never learned to express. The door closed behind her. Emily turned to Rebecca and Daniel. You both need to testify. About Neocore. About what Mother did. It's the only way to make this right. Daniel nodded weakly. I know. I'm ready to face the consequences. Rebecca squeezed Emily's hand. Will you stay? Help us through this. Emily thought about it. About the years of pain, about forgiveness, and whether some things could ever truly be repaired. I'll stay until the trial, she said finally. After that, I need to figure out my own life. What about us? Alexander asked when they were finally alone in the hospital corridor. What happens to our marriage? Emily looked at the man who'd saved her and used her in equal measure. I think we both know this was never about love, wasn't it? He stepped closer. Maybe it started as revenge, but somewhere along the way, it became something else. At least for me. Don't. Emily backed away. I can't sort through your truth and your lies anymore. I'm exhausted, Alexander. I'm bleeding. And I need to heal. Really heal. Not just cover my wounds with expensive clothes and cold purpose. So this is it? You're leaving me? I'm leaving the version of myself that needed you. Emily's voice softened. You gave me strength when I had none. But now I need to find my own. Without revenge. Without you. Alexander's jaw tightened. Then, slowly, he nodded. For what it's worth, I meant it when I said I understood you. You're stronger than you know. I know. Emily smiled, and it was genuine. That's why I'm walking away. She left him standing there and walked out into the night. Her shoulder throbbed. Her dress was ruined. She had nowhere to go, but for the first time in 5 years, she felt free. 6 months later, Emily stood on a different balcony, not a penthouse. Just a modest apartment overlooking the ocean. The same ocean she'd stared at when she'd first disappeared, broken and afraid. She'd testified at the trial. Watched her mother sentenced to 15 years. Watched Daniel and Rebecca begin the painful work of rebuilding trust. They'd asked her to be part of their daughter's life. She'd said, maybe. Someday Alexander had signed the divorce papers without contest. Had transferred enough money into her account to start over. Again, she'd kept half and donated the rest to organizations that helped. People escape toxic relationships. She was writing now. A memoir about survival and self-destruction. About how sometimes the people who save you are also the ones who trap you. It would probably never sell. But that wasn't the point. Her phone rang. An unknown number. She almost didn't answer. Hello? Ms. Hart. This is Grace Publishing. We read your manuscript. We'd like to offer you a book deal. Emily closed her eyes and smiled. Not the sharp smile of revenge. Not the careful smile of survival. Just the quiet smile of someone who'd found her way back to herself. I'd like that, she said. After the call ended, she sat on the balcony and watched the sun set over the water. Somewhere in the city behind her, Rebecca was reading bedtime stories to her daughter. Daniel was trying to rebuild his reputation. Her mother was learning what it meant to lose everything, and Alexander was alone in his penthouse, haunted by the woman he'd tried to possess but never really knew. Emily thought about the girl who'd run 5 years ago, about the woman who'd returned seeking revenge, about all the versions of herself she'd worn like armor. She thought about how betrayal could make you hard, how love could break you, how revenge could consume you, but also how survival could teach you that you were stronger than you ever imagined. She picked up her pen and wrote the final line of her book. In the end, I didn't need revenge. I just needed to remember who I was before they made me forget. The ocean crashed against the shore below. The stars emerged one by one in the darkening sky, and Emily Hart, survivor of her own story, finally let herself breathe. The end.